Hey everybody, this is Mr. Longo, and we are about to cover some essentials of Algebra 1 that are very important when moving forward in Algebra 2. And those topics are going to be distributing, combining like terms, and multiplying polynomials. So we're going to start with how you distribute. Distributing is multiplication, but what you're doing is you're going to distribute the 2 and multiply it to both terms inside of the parentheses. So what you're really doing is you're doing 2 times x, which is 2x, and then you're going to do 2 times a positive 3, which is going to give you a positive 6, and that is distributing. So if you would like, you can pause the video and try the next 2 problems on your own to make sure that you know what you are doing, and then you may click play to see what happens. The second example. We are distributing a negative 3 to both of these terms. So a negative 3 times 2x is a negative 6x, and a negative 3 times a negative 4 is going to give you a positive 12. Make sure that you take special note that when you multiply a negative to another negative, that it becomes positive, and also when you have a negative number in front, you must distribute the negative as well. Last one in this row for distributing. You're going to multiply 3x to all 3 terms of the parentheses. So 3x times x squared is a 3x cubed. 3x times 3x is going to give you a 9x squared, and 3x times a negative 5 is a negative 15x. Okay? So that is your refresher on how you distribute. The next one we're going to talk about is combining like terms. Combining like terms basically means you are only allowed to add and subtract terms of the same flavor. So you can only combine your x's. You cannot combine x's and y's. You can only combine x squareds. You cannot combine an x squared with an x. If you add 2 apples to 3 oranges, you don't have 5 bananas. You just have 2 apples and 3 oranges. So just keep that in mind when you are combining like terms. So we'll start with the first guy, 2x plus 3x. They are the same term. The term is x's. So if you have 2 x's and you get 3 more x's, you now have 5 x's. In the second one, if you have 2 x's and 3 y's and you throw them into a pile, you can't have 5 xy's. They are just 2x plus 3y. So that second one actually cannot be combined at all. The third one, we have x's and y's. We have a 2x and we have a negative x. So that means that we have 2x and then we take one away. You are left with just x. And then you move on to your y's. You have 4 y's, and then you gain another y. So you have 4y and another y. That's going to give you a total of 5 y's. Okay, so that should be enough to refresh your memory on what combining like terms is. So if you would like to try the next 3 on your own, pause the video, give them a shot. As soon as you're ready to see if you did them correctly, click play and see what happens. So the next one. We have some x squareds here. We have 2x squareds, and then we have another x squared. So we have 3 x squareds. And then we have 3x, but we're going to take one of those x's away. So we have 2x left in that equation. So now we're going to look through this big long line, and we have some x cubes. We have some x squareds, and then we have our little lonely x. Now remember, whenever you're combining like terms, the sign in front of the number stays with it. The sign after a variable does not, or after a number does not go with it. It's the symbol in front. So we have 4x cubes. We lose 1x cubed, so we have 3x cubes. And then we have 3x squared, and we lose 5x squared. So that means we are at a negative 3x squared. And then we have our 2x. Okay? So not always will something have someone to combine with. Now the last one is going to combine the first and second skill, and this one is going to require you to distribute and then combine like terms. So refresher on distributing, you have to distribute the 2 to both terms in that first set of parentheses. The 3x gets distributed to both terms of the second set of parentheses, and just this negative symbol will be distributed to both terms of the third set. So the first thing you need to do is distribute. So 2x squared plus 8. And now you're going to have plus 3x times x is 3x squared, and that symbol stays with it. And 3x times a negative 2 is a negative 6x. Finally, we distribute the negative to both of these, and we have a negative 3x and a positive 4. Once you are finished with that, you can go and combine all of your like terms. So we have some x squareds, we have a few x's, and then we have our constants, meaning they do not have a variable, it's just a number. So we have 2x squared and 3x squared, that's going to give us a 5x squared. We have a negative 6x and a negative 3x, so that's a negative 9x. And we have a positive 8 and a positive 4. That's going to give us a positive 12. Okay, and that is distributing and then combining like terms. And as a special note that you learned back in Algebra 1, it's common practice to always write your answer in descending order. Okay? Last topic for this video, multiplying polynomials. Now you guys might have learned this as foiling. But we tend to get away from the term foiling because foiling stood for first, outer, inner, last. But this guy's got a middle. So the FOIL only works when you're doing a binomial and a binomial, or 2 terms times 2 terms. It does not work when you get to 2 times 3 or 3 times 3. So we just call it multiplying polynomials. So the first example, what you're basically doing is distributing twice. You're going to distribute 2x times x, and that's going to give you a 2x squared. And then you're going to distribute the 2x to the negative 4, which is going to give you a negative 8x. So that's just your first step. It's just distribute the first term to both. And now we're going to distribute the 3 to both. So 3 times x is going to give us a 3x, and 3 times a negative 4 is going to give us a negative 12. And then we're just going to go combine all of our like terms to come up with our final answer. So to do that, we're just going to have our 2x squared. There's no other x squareds. We have a negative 8x and a positive 3x. That'll give us a negative 5x. And then we just have our one constant, negative 12. Okay, so that is multiplying polynomials. Again, FOIL would be accurate term for that, but that's just a shortcut. Again, foiling only works with 2 binomials, so it's just multiplying polynomials. All right, so in the next example, we're going to distribute the x to all 3 terms. So x times 2x is going to give us 2x cubed. X times a negative 3x is going to give us a negative 3x squared. And x times 7 is going to give us 7x. And then you need to multiply everything by 5. So 5 times 2x is going to give you, or 2x squared is going to give you a 10x squared. 5 times a negative 3x is going to give you a negative 15x. And 5 times 7 is going to give you 35. And then you just have to combine your like terms. So I did this in a stacking manner, in case you didn't notice, which is just a little trick if you have a lot of terms, where I have 2x cubes. I have a negative 3x squared and a 10x squared, which is going to give me 7x squared. 7x minus 15x is going to give me a negative 8x. And then, of course, my 35. Okay, so again, this is material that you learn in Algebra 1 that you should be very familiar with, but it is very, very important for the Algebra 2 trig class you guys are about to take. So we wanted to make sure we refreshed your memory. So that's it for this video. This is Longo, and I am out. See you, bye.